It was an apparently ordinary day at a renowned car dealership, known for housing the most exclusive and luxurious models on the market. The environment was marked by the shine of impeccably polished vehicles and a sophisticated atmosphere where only high-end clients were expected. However, something unusual caught the attention of all the employees that afternoon. An elderly man, with clearly worn and disheveled clothes, crossed the entrance of the store. His simple attire starkly contrasted with the opulent environment, causing the eyes of those present to immediately converge on him. As the man approached, the receptionist exchanged glances with one of the salespeople, both visibly confused by the unexpected presence. In a low tone, almost like a whisper to prevent the visitor from hearing, the salesperson disdainfully commented, "Maybe he entered by mistake or is confusing the neighborhood. These elderly folks keep getting lost these days." The remark was met with discreet laughter, as if the mere idea of someone so modest considering being there was laughable. They expected him to realize the mistake and turn around, like many other less affluent visitors who usually gave up upon noticing the exorbitant prices displayed. However, to everyone's surprise, the elderly man advanced firmly, ignoring any hesitation, and proceeded directly to the section of the store with the most expensive and exclusive vehicles. An awkward silence took over the environment, as no one could believe what they were seeing. The shock was evident on every face, yet no employee moved to attend to the man. Curiosity and prejudice paralyzed them, and the old man, seemingly indifferent to all this, continued his walk with confident steps. Unexpectedly, the old man stopped in front of a luxury truck, one of the store's most expensive and exclusive models. He began to examine the vehicle attentively, going over every detail with a meticulous gaze, as if he perfectly understood what he was looking for. After a few moments, he mustered the courage and opened the car door, clearly interested in exploring its interior. But before he could proceed, one of the salespeople hurried over with a look of disdain etched on his face. "Hey, sir, what do you think you're doing? It's not allowed to enter the displayed vehicles," the salesperson said in a harsh and loud tone, drawing the attention of other employees and customers. The old man, surprised and visibly confused, calmly responded, "But this car is on display, young man. Doesn't that mean I can try it out?" The salesperson crossed his arms and smiled sarcastically. "Yes, it's on display, but this is an old and unique model intended for people with a lot of money, which clearly isn't your case. You can't get in it. Please, keep your distance." The hostile tone of the words made the elderly man take a step back, but he couldn't contain the indignation he felt. "Do you think I'm joking?" the salesperson continued with a bitter smile. "Look, old man, I'm telling you, you didn't even dream of buying this truck. Your pensions wouldn't even cover half of its payments." The public humiliation began to attract more glances, but no one intervened. The old man tried to argue again, but was interrupted by the store manager, who quickly approached after being called to calm the situation. However, the manager did not come with intentions to resolve the situation fairly. On the contrary, his approach was even more cruel. "With all due respect, sir," he began, but the respectful tone quickly gave way to harsh words. "It's better for you to leave the store. You know, you give a bad impression here inside. Moreover, I'm sorry to say, but the scent of the countryside and cattle that accompanies you doesn't match our vehicles. We can't allow that odor to transfer to the seats. I hope you understand, we want to keep the car impeccable for our true clients." The words cut like knives, but the manager didn't stop there. "Look, sir, I don't want to offend you, but honestly, you're very out of place here. I suggest you use your time to buy new clothes, take a shower, and maybe try a perfume. Oh, and next time, look for something more affordable to your reality. Wasting time looking at cars you can't buy isn't very productive, do you agree?" The room was filled with muffled laughter, while the old man struggled to maintain his composure. "I don't smell bad. I'm humble, but that doesn't mean I'm not clean," he responded with dignity. However, before he could continue, the manager decisively ordered, "Enough. You better leave now. We've wasted enough time with you. You're scaring our clients." The looks around were complicit in prejudice, and no one stood up to defend him. In fact, some murmurs of approval reinforced the atmosphere of exclusion. Embarrassed and humiliated, the old man gathered what was left of his dignity and left the store, walking slowly towards the bus station to return to his town. Meanwhile, inside the store, the receptionist found a bag left behind by the elderly man. "But what is this? That old man left a stinky bag here. Someone take it, please," she shouted, attracting laughter from some employees. A new salesperson, who had observed everything in silence, approached to check the contents of the bag. Contrary to what the others had said, he noticed that the old man wasn't dirty, as they had insinuated, and that despite his worn clothes, he was far from being someone unkempt. Driven by a sense of justice, he decided to run after the elderly man. When he finally caught up, he found him walking with his head down, clearly shaken by the cruel words he had heard. The old man, lost in his thoughts, looked at the shop windows he passed by, observing his reflection. He saw there a simple man, dressed in clean but worn clothes. That vision reinforced what he already thought. Maybe the salesperson was right. He was too humble to belong to that world of luxury. The high prices of food, medicine, and services had made his life increasingly difficult. Buying a car, especially a luxury one, seemed an absurd idea. Suddenly his thoughts were interrupted by a voice calling him from a distance. "Grandpa, wait!" He turned around and saw a young man in a shirt and tie running towards him with a kind smile. The old man soon recognized that it was one of the store's employees and, embarrassed, bowed his head. "Oh, my things," he murmured sadly. "I was so foolish. I saw the price of the truck and got upset. I think I didn't even realize I left my bag behind. Thank you for bringing it." The salesperson handed over the bag and asked hesitantly, "May I ask you a question, sir? What brought you to our store today?" The old man hesitated for a moment but answered honestly, "I had the dream of buying one of these cars." The young man was surprised and for a moment reflected that appearances don't always reveal someone's true situation. He quickly apologized. "I'm sorry to ask, sir. I hope you understand my curiosity." As the elderly man was about to respond, the salesperson, embarrassed, continued, "Unfortunately, my colleagues judge a lot by appearances. I've noticed that since I started working here. They believe first impressions are everything, and that determines whether someone is here to buy or just to waste time. It's an unfair society, sir, but I'm just an employee. I can't oppose the manager. I need the job. I apologize for the mistreatment you received, and hope you know that if it were up to me, you would have been treated with respect." The old man, after hearing the salesperson's apology, took a deep breath and began to tell his story. "For many years, my wife and I saved every penny we could to fulfill the dream of buying a car. We live in a remote rural area, and every day I walk 13 kilometers to the nearest bus stop to go to work. This effort, as tiring as it is, helps us save money. Despite everything, we remain steadfast in our goal." He smiled softly, but his demeanor reflected fatigue and sadness. "Don't worry, boy, I'm not a millionaire. I'm just a simple man from the countryside. My wife and I saved for years, hoping to buy this car. Thank you for bringing me the bag. However, the truth is that things have changed. Prices have risen, and as the manager pointed out, I really don't have enough money." The old man's words deeply touched the young salesperson, who didn't know how to react. He tried to hide the tears that began to form in his eyes. "Sir, I'm so sorry for all of this. You've given me a lot to think about. How much is left to complete the value of the car?" he asked hesitantly. The old man explained that surprisingly, the difference was smaller than one might imagine. Determined to help, the young man asked for the elderly man's address. "Sir, give me a few days. I'll try to find a solution so we can make this possible. I don't want your wife to lose hope. As soon as I have something concrete, I'll visit you." The next day, the young man appeared at the old man's house, fulfilling his promise. He knocked on the door, and it was the old man himself who answered. "Oh, it's you, boy. Come in, please. Let's have some coffee." As they walked through the simple house, the young man noticed through a slightly open door a lady lying in bed, surrounded by medications. She was pale, clearly debilitated. The old man explained, with a tone that mixed pride and sadness, "This is my wife. She's resting now. Even so, I do my best to make her feel comfortable." They sat down and talked for a while. The old man spoke admiringly of his wife, describing her as a strong and lively woman despite the difficulties. He shared stories of how she always supported him, even in the darkest moments. The young man listened attentively, admiring the man's love and devotion. When the young man was about to leave, he took an envelope from his pocket and handed it to the old man. "This is the solution I found," he said with a gentle smile. "It's enough to complete the value of the car." The old man, surprised, hesitated to accept. "I can't accept this, boy. It's too big a gesture," he said, trying to return the envelope. But the young man insisted, "Please accept it. Consider it a gift for someone who's struggling to fulfill the last dream of the person they love most. Promise you won't tell anyone." With eyes full of gratitude, the old man finally accepted. He held the envelope firmly, unable to find words to express his emotion. "Thank you, boy," was all he managed to say. 2 days later, the elderly man returned to the dealership. This time he wore an elegant suit with a completely different air. Upon entering, the employees, who initially didn't recognize him, were confused by his presence. When they realized who he was, they tried to stop him again, but this time didn't have the courage to create a scene, as the store was full of other customers. The old man calmly walked up to the same truck he had admired before. The young salesperson, Antonio, was the first to approach, moved by a mix of anxiety and joy. "Sir, it's great to see you again. What brings you here today?" he asked, already knowing the answer. "I came to buy the car. Now I have the money," the old man said loudly enough for everyone to hear. Antonio began to explain every detail of the vehicle, while the other employees watched incredulously. When the old man opened his bag and took out the money, the environment fell silent. The manager and the other salespeople were paralyzed, consumed by envy. Antonio, on the other hand, was radiant. He helped the old man finalize the purchase and with a genuine smile watched as he drove his new car home. Upon arriving home, the old man called his wife to come outside. "Come see something, my love," he said with an enthusiastic voice. When the lady saw the car parked in front of the house, she was speechless. "But how did you get this car?" she asked hesitantly. He smiled and replied, "Don't worry, my love. It's all right. Let's go for a drive." The two spent the rest of the day cruising around the city, fulfilling the dream they had shared for so many years. Despite the adversities, they were finally happy, enjoying life as they had planned. The following weeks were a true gift for the elderly couple. With the car they had longed for, they could finally explore new places, visit landscapes that previously existed only in their imaginations, and relive moments that seemed forgotten by time. Each trip was a small piece of happiness amid the harsh reality they faced. The wife, even debilitated, seemed to gain strength by feeling the wind on her face and watching the fields pass by the window. However, as time went on, the illness progressed, and she ended up confined to bed. But even so, there was always a smile on her face. The husband dedicated himself entirely to making her last days filled with love and joy. He talked to her, recalled stories from the past, told jokes to make her laugh, and made sure to keep her comfortable. They both cherished every moment together, knowing that time was short, but not letting fear dominate them. When the inevitable happened, the old man was devastated but felt deep in his heart that he had fulfilled his mission. He made her happy until the last moment. Shortly after, the elderly man returned to the dealership. This time he didn't bring a bag of money, nor did he wear the elegant suit he had previously. His posture was humble, but he carried an aura of seriousness and sadness that immediately caught the attention of all the employees. Strangely, the treatment he received was completely different from what he had faced during his first visit. Now, all eyes were on him, and the smiles seemed genuine, albeit full of curiosity. Antonio, observing from afar, quickly understood the reason behind the old man's behavior. As he approached, the elderly man looked at him with teary eyes and, with trembling hands, handed him the car keys. "Let this car be yours, young man. Now, you need it more than I do," he said, his voice choked. Antonio was paralyzed, trying to hold back tears. He opened his mouth to respond, but no words came. Instead, he simply embraced the old man tightly, conveying all the respect and gratitude he felt. They both cried, sharing a moment of deep connection, while the other employees watched in silence. The young man ended up accepting the gift, albeit reluctantly, and registered the car in his name. However, he didn't distance himself from the old man. On the contrary, he began to visit him frequently, driving to his house to talk and share stories. These moments brought comfort to the elderly man, helping him cope with the pain of loss. Conversations with Antonio became a small relief in his loneliness, and over time, a genuine friendship blossomed between the two. Antonio never regretted the act of generosity he had made. He knew that by giving his savings to the elderly man, he had helped fulfill the last wish of a loving couple, providing them with moments of joy that compensated for years of struggle and sacrifice. Now, receiving the car as a gift seemed more than a material reward. It was a symbol of everything he believed in: kindness, empathy, and the ability to change someone's life, even with small gestures. The story, although moving, reveals a harsh truth about the world we live in. Even today, many people are judged by their appearance or financial condition, as the old man was during his first visit to the dealership. But it also reminds us that amidst indifference, there are those few who put themselves in others' shoes, extending a hand and helping to build a better world, one act of kindness at a time. If this story touched your heart and made you reflect, we invite you to express your opinion in the comments. Like this video, share it with friends and family, and help spread this message of empathy and solidarity. Additionally, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss the next content we post. Together, we can make a difference.